Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Wednesday, March the 10th, 2021. It is 3:30, maybe a few minutes after that. I apologize for being a little bit late. Last committee went long. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Representatives Alexander, Calfee, Hazelwood, Hodges, Holsclaw, Johnson, Manis, Thompson, Vaughn, Zachary, Chairman Boyd.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And do we have any personal orders before we get started today? If not, we have a few administrative things. Item 5 has been rolled 1 week. And we're going to go a little bit out of order, and we're going to have item number 8, House Bill 1112 by Chairman Vaughn. Chairman Vaughn, you're recognized. That's your or in the well, if you want. Do we have a motion or a second, members? We have a motion. We have a second. Chairman Vaughn, you recognized.
Thank you. House Bill 112 deals with contractors and subcontractors that are dealing with improving real property in the state. It establishes for consistent regulatory authority across the state to where it adopts that communities that impose safety requirements beyond OSHA and TOSHA. They basically have to stay within the regulatory system that's established, so it's a consistency across statewide. Also keeps personnel information for contractors and subcontractors meeting state and federal minimums. So what this does is this will provide for a consistent treatment of contractors and subcontractors across the state.
Thank you for that explanation, sponsor. Representative Thompson, you recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I read over every section, and there was one I had a question on, and that's the OSHA and TOSHA one. The way I read it, and I may be totally misunderstanding it, but it says that a local government can exceed OSHA and TOSHA rules and regulations?
Yes, sir.
Why not? If Collierville wants to exceed regulations over every other city in the state, then why not?
Well, Chairman Vaughn, you recognized.
Thank you, Chairman Boyd. I apologize.
Sorry.
What happens, our contractors are subjected to an extraordinary amount of regulation, keeping consistent to where we believe that OSHA, and not only OSHA, but also the TOSHA standards are substantial in and of themselves. Okay. And so we believe that what we'd like to do is see that be the consistent model that's adopted for across the state.
Okay. Representative Thompson, do you have any follow-up?
I don't understand 100%, but I'm satisfied enough. I have no follow-up.
Chairman Vaughn, do you need any follow-up to that? Members, do we have any more questions for the sponsor? If not, we are voting on House Bill 1112 to send it to full commerce. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it. And Chairman Vaughn, House Bill 1112 is on its way to full commerce.
Thank you for your accommodation, Chairman Boyd. I'll step out for a moment.
All right, we are back on the calendar now in order, and we're on item number 1, and that's House Bill 780 by Leader Lamberth. What's that? We're going to roll that to the hill of the calendar. Next up is item number 2, House Bill 334 by Chairman Hicks. Chairman Hicks, you are recognized. Do we have a motion or a second on Chairman? Motion. We have a motion. We have a second. Chairman Hicks, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. House Bill 2004 creates regulations and requirements on the operations of alkaline hydrolysis facilities, requires the operator of an alkaline hydrolysis facility to receive a permit from the Department of Health for reclamation of human remains. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Chairman Hicks, thank you for that explanation. Members, do we have any questions for the sponsor? Chairman Holsclaw, you recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Is that the same chemical you used on your hair?
No, sir.
No, seriously, how long does this process take once it starts?
So
Chairman Hicks, you recognized.
Sorry, sir. It's actually about a 4 to 6 hour process.
To totally dissolve and wow. Thanks for your answer.
Thank you.
Representative.
Members, anybody else have a question for the sponsor of the bill? If not, members, we are voting on item number 2, House Bill 334, to send it to full commerce. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Chairman, your bill is moving to full commerce.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Members, next up, we have item number 3. That's House Bill 188 by Chairman Moon. Chairman Moon, you are recognized as soon as they finish sanitizing. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? We have a motion. We have a second. Chairman Moon, you recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. House Bill 188, you may have heard before. It was voted on and passed in the House in the 111th General Assembly. It authorizes members of the United States Armed Forces and honorably discharged veterans to receive equivalent credit toward the receipt of an occupational license or healing arts license relating to the training that this person received in the military. It also sets up an appeal process. It requires the Commissioner of Commerce and Insurance and the Commissioner of Health to collaborate with the Commissioner of Veteran Services. Basically, it does exactly what the caption says, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation, sponsor. Members, do we have any questions? I actually, if no one does, I have one, Chairman. I appreciate that. You've talked to me quite a bit about this. Would this cover all military occupational specialties? I mean, or is it just, are you aiming at certain fields within the military?
Not necessarily all fields of the military. It's where there's a service school that's established, there's a curriculum, there's a certificate awarded, and that way the departments of Tennessee can look at those curriculum and see if they fit toward the licensure.
Okay. And Chairman, this is being done in other states as well. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Chairman Holsclaw, you recognize? Oh, you did? Members, are there any other questions for the sponsor? If not, we are voting on House Bill 188. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it. And the bill is on its way to full commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members.
Next up, we have item number 4, and that's House Bill 205 by Representative Cochran. Representative Cochran, you are recognized. We have a motion, we have a second, and Representative Cochran, it looks like you have an amendment. What drafting code are you showing on that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. The drafting code is 004115.
That's what I'm showing too. We have a motion on the amendment. Do we have a second? We have a second. Okay. Sponsor, if you want to give us an explanation of that amendment.
Absolutely. So essentially this one rewrites the bill and basically so it covers an obscure type of utility districts. And so that there's not many of these. It's a utility board that is jointly owned with 2 or more counties. So I think it's our understanding there's about 5 or fewer of these in the state. Basically what this bill does, what this amendment does, is it brings their compensation level and benefits level up to the same level of other utility districts in the state. So municipal utility districts, for instance, can already pay up to $300 a meeting. They can offer their board members the health benefits that their employees receive. So basically this is putting everybody on the same page. Probably 15 years or so ago when the code was written for the utility districts and the municipalities, I would say these were probably just forgotten about because there's not many of them. But with that, I'll yield for any questions.
Thank you for that explanation, sponsor. Members, do we have any questions for the sponsor on the amendment? If not, we are voting on amendment number 4115 to add it to the bill. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. Sponsor, we are back on the bill as amended. Do you have any further explanation?
Nope. Like I said, the amendment pretty much explains the bill, but again, happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Members, you've heard the explanation. Are there any questions? If not, we are voting on the bill as amended. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. House Bill 205 is on its way to full commerce.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Next up is item number 6. That's House Bill 388 by Representative Darby. Motion on the bill. Second. We have a motion. We have a second. The bill's in good posture. Representative Darby, you are recognized.
Utility districts to adopt purchasing policies which contain provisions for purchasing through competitive sealed proposals. And I yield the question.
Thank you for that explanation. Members, do we have any questions for the sponsor on his bill? If not, the question's been called. Let's go ahead and vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. House Bill 388 passes and is on its way to full commerce.
Thank you, Mr.
sponsor.
Chairman and committee.
Next up is item number 7. That's House Bill 651 by Representative Alexander. Representative Alexander, you're recognized in your seat, or you can go to the well if you need some camera time. It's whichever.
Thank you, Chairman.
We have a motion. We have a second. Representative Alexander, you are recognized.
Okay. I'm just going to stay right here.
Okay.
Thank you, Chairman. This bill that I bring before you is for the Tennessee Comptroller's Office, and basically what this legislation does, it makes government work better by removing an unnecessary statutory provision in the definition of financial distress for government utilities. This bill removes requirement for pension and the OPEB activity to be excluded from the calculation of statutory change of a net position for government utilities. Under this change, utilities will no longer come under the purview of either the Utility Management Review Board or the Water Financing Board solely for funding their pension and their liabilities, while utilities that need board assistance will be referred. It's just a cleanup bill.
Thank you for that explanation, Representative Alexander. And the Comptroller's Office came by, and it sounds like it's a good piece of legislation. Members, do we have any questions for the sponsor? Chairman Vaughn, you're recognized.
Representative Alexander, I'd like to know a little bit more about these OPEB liabilities that are changing this net position. So if you could give me a rundown of the impact that you believe that that's going to have, I'd really appreciate it. Is it a net positive or a net negative? Never mind. No. Brilliant response. Thank you for answering.
Are there any other questions for the sponsor? If not, let's go ahead and vote on House Bill 651. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. And House Bill 651 is on its way to full commerce. That brings us back to item number 1, and that's House Bill 780, and we are waiting on the sponsor to get here. And so let's take a 2-minute recess, and we'll be back here in 2 minutes, members. I'd like to call this meeting back to order. And we're back on item number 1, House Bill 780. Leader Gant, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. I apologize. I was in another committee.
We have a motion. We have a second. And Leader Gant, it looks like there is an amendment on your bill.
That is correct.
I'm showing drafting code 004488. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second on the amendment. Leader Gant, you're recognized on your amendment.
Okay. What this amendment does is it adds a reporting requirement when Commerce and Insurance spends funds in an extraordinary circumstance as allowed in this bill.
Okay. Thank you for that explanation. Members, do we have any questions for the sponsor on his amendment? If not, we're voting on amendment number 004488. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it. The amendment is on the bill. Leader Gant, you're recognized on the bill with the amendment.
Yes, and that amendment was a technical change made to Section 13, just for the record.
Do you have any more explanation, or is that it?
Well, what I'm going to do is we've got the commissioner here that wants to talk about the bill and what it does in depth. So I'm going to, if we could go out of session and yield to Commissioner.
Okay, we're going to go out of session. We've got Commissioner Lawrence. Welcome to the committee, and if you'll just make sure your microphone is on and state your name for the record.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. My name is Carter Lawrence. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Commerce and Insurance. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. The other amendment that you were talking about, drafting code 4274, is that right?
I do not have that amendment. That's not the drafting code we've got.
Okay. So if it's okay, while they're figuring out the amendment, would you want me to talk about the rest of the bill itself, or do you want me to stick with the amendment for now?
Go ahead. We're out of session. You can tell us generally what's going on with it.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Chairman and committee members. Thanks also to the leader for carrying this important legislation. Really excited about it. I am excited to be here to briefly discuss this legislation on behalf of Governor Lee. I'm really thankful for him for inclusion of this in his legislative packet. In a nutshell, this will make government more efficient and also more up-to-date with modern practices. Several of the provisions in the bill have been considered by the department for several years, but individually they've not risen to the level to merit a bill. But collectively, taken together, the cumulative effect is to streamline customers' interactions with government. And like I said earlier, I'm proud that the governor is supporting this effort. So as you just heard from Leader Gant, we're making numerous technical changes. And I hadn't planned on running through each of those provisions unless you want to hear a little bit more about those technical pieces. But I did want to address a few of the more impactful ones. So first, one of the changes will streamline the licensing process for solo practitioners by eliminating the need for duplicative licenses. So currently, locksmiths, funeral directors, and scrap metal dealers are required to be licensed in their individual capacity and also as a firm. This bill removes that duplicative requirement, meaning that a person in business as a solo practitioner would no longer be need to licensed both as a firm and as an individual. So the result would be savings of money and time for the citizen who's interacting with the state. Second, the other change that I want to mention is the bill's clarification of the proper use of the regulatory reserve funds. So without changing F&A's requirements that the funds be used only for non-recurring expenses, this bill will allow the department to utilize board funds to benefit licensees of the board, board administration, and consumers. Specifically, this bill clarifies that reserve funds can be used in the following 5 areas. First, capital purchases, including technology upgrades. Second, communications and marketing programs related to the board's regulated industries, including consumer protection campaigns, public service announcements, and targeted media. Third, educational programs related to the board's regulated industries, including programs regarding consumer awareness industry best practices, and industry recruitment. Fourth, payment of legal fees and related costs associated with legal representation by the Attorney General. And fifth and finally, other initiatives related to the department's strategic plan. So additionally, working with F&A, we can make expenditures in extraordinary circumstances, which would, as you just heard from the amendment, be required to be reported to House and Senate Finance Committees. So these sections in the bill will not change the long-standing commitment by the department that we have to budgeting and spending responsibility. Additionally, nothing allows us to use reserve funds from one program to fund the operations of another program. This has been our practice in the past. We've just drafted language to solidify that and to codify that practice. And also, as I mentioned earlier, this will not be used for covering non-recurring expenses. Again, thank you to Leader Gant for sponsoring this and to the chairman and committee for allowing me to be here. And like I said, happy to take any questions that you have, both for those two items that I talked about, but any of the other provisions as well.
Thank you, Commissioner, for that explanation of the bill. Members, do we have any questions for Commissioner Lawrence? Chairman Vaughn, you recognize.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Commissioner, could you share with us some more about the locksmith provisions of this?
I feel that I'm walking into a trap.
Commissioner Lawrence, you want to dive into that?
So if I could return back to the solo practitioner part, where we're removing the duplicative licenses. So for locksmiths, they'd have to be licensed they currently have to be licensed in their individual capacity, but then also as a firm. For a solo locksmith, it would mean that they would just have the one license as it relates to TDCI. This, of course, doesn't impact any of their local business licensing requirements, just what we deal with, and we're just trying to streamline to make sure that people only have to have one touch with Commerce and Insurance rather than multiple. And I do want to stress, this keeps in place all of the consumer protections where we have the ability still to take action against licenses remains.
Thank you, sir.
Chairman Vaughn, you have anything else?
I'm good, thanks.
Representative Calfee, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How does this impact people that braid hair for a living?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
How does this impact people who braid hair for a living? No.
Oh, I apologize.
Well, just kidding, just
yes.
kidding. I
remember a few years ago.
That was worse. That went on for about 3 years, and the locksmith just went on for 2, I think. So thanks for your presentation.
You scared me there.
Members, do we have any more questions or jabs for the commissioner while he's here? If not, Commissioner Lawrence, thank you for coming and for that in-depth explanation there. Members, we are going back in session. Leader Gant, you are recognized, and do you want to clarify whether we got the right amendment there?
We do. Thank you.
Okay. Members, you've heard the explanation from both the sponsor and the commissioner. Do we have any questions for Leader Gant? If not, we are voting on House Bill 780 as amended. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. The bill passes, and it's on its way to full commerce. Thank you, Leader Gant. Members, if there's nothing else, then this meeting is adjourned.